right?
Have you seen what they feed them for breakfast?
Not yet, because Maxie's at home for now. I haven't seen the breakfast at school yet.
He's better.
Is he better at home? Well, I mean, honestly, that could probably be said from, most restaurants, I would say too. Maybe. Depends what the restaurant is, I guess. I have looked at the menu for lunch at Lava Ridge, though, and I'm kind of impressed with what they're offering. I mean, if what they're offering sounds as good as, like,
They've got a lot
asparagus spears.
They
Like,
let
really?
them- they let them
Asparagus?
pick.
Kids eat this?
Fresh caught Oregon fish.
Yeah!
But they let them pick and they don't make
Oh,
them.
okay. Salmon, tater tots. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Well, anyway, again, study finds. 11 million low-income students eat a school-provided breakfast. That's a chunk of change. It's a chunk of change. Shared our strength part with professional services from Deloitte to analyze third-party studies, another meta-analysis. The studies were already done, and they grouped them together. You gotta watch those. Please do watch those when you guys are in your jobs. Pay attention to the meta-analyses. It's got a fancy name. It sounds really good, meta. It's one of those new prefixes we like, right? But you gotta realize, if all they're doing is taking other studies and putting them together, they're just trying to get published. Sometimes. Sometimes they're saying good stuff, but pay attention to that. Look at the methodologies. That's why I'm excited some of you guys are taking other research classes. This is not really a research class. I'm trying to give you as much as I can within the framework of what we have to do in 244, but pay attention to those research methods classes. Cool? And this will be a hyperlink for you guys later. I'm going through I'm being an American by reading the headlines and kind of ignoring everything else, but I've left you with the sources should you want to get into this. This is one I've been picking on for a couple years now. Studies show 1 in 100 kids have autism. 2 new government studies indicate about 1 in 100 children with autism, higher than the previous U.S. estimate of 1 in 150. You may have heard this. Maybe. Maybe you've heard this? Maybe you haven't. Some of you have. Okay, autism's on the rise, is what you often hear. Autism rates are on the rise, on the rise, on the rise. Autism rate rises to 1 in 50. Cause still a mystery. I don't think it's a mystery. If you just actually read the source that they quote, the increase in autistic cases over the past decade is thought to be due to more thorough screening rather than a true spike in autism. So in other words, the autism identification is spiking, not the autism rate. Does that make sense? I mean, I just ran into a friend yesterday who looked extraordinarily forward. I'm like, what's up, dude? What's up? She's like, I just got like 3 or 4 friends, family members that have been diagnosed with cancer over the past week. And that breaks my heart because 3 days ago, one of my closest friends got diagnosed with cancer. And we both got, cried a little bit, and hugged a little bit. But then we both realized, we talked, because we're both kind of academic, we're like, well, it's because they're screening for it more aggressively now. We're finding it more, That's number 1. Number 2, people are living longer, which gives cancer a chance to kind of get in there, unfortunately, and get in there and do its thing. So it's not so much that cancer is more prevalent, it's our finding of it that is more prevalent. Does that make sense? So that's why I encourage you to read deeply, yeah? And this is the CDC itself admitting that it's not the rates, it's the identification that's going up. And yay! Something else they didn't mention, they also reclassified more conditions as autism. So again, back to Brandon's definition, define autism. Well, now Asperger's is looped into that. There's a lot of cases of Asperger's, that is now autism, according to whoever labels these things. So of course it's going to go up. The rate's going to go up, just by definition if you've included more. Fair? Believable? Maybe. Perhaps. All right. Studies show, I love picking on this one. Studies show 1 dose of H1N1 vaccine may be enough. As a matter of fact, not only was 1 dose enough, if they diluted it down, it was enough. I actually have the numbers for that. We're going to analyze that in class. Remember H1N1? Swine flu. Or was it bird flu?
Swine.
That was swine flu. Okay. Yes, I lose track of my flus. And now with Ebola, I've forgotten everything. No. Swine flu. Swine flu. That's one of the symptoms, right, of Ebola? Loss of memory? Screwed.
Do you watch Fox News?
1 dose. So, studies show 1 dose. Studies show, all these studies show, coffee, good for us, bad for us. 2 new studies disagree. Of course they do. Chances are the 2 new studies weren't looking at the same thing. More than 28 cups of coffee a week may endanger health in under 55s. I remember reading this headline and going, holy crap, who the hell drinks 28 cups of coffee? Wait, I do. That's only 4 cups a day, and a cup of coffee is 8 ounces. But if you Google what a cup of coffee is, it's defined to be 8 ounces. Now I know nobody drinks 8 ounces of coffee. We drink quarts of coffee, right? But the idea is, I was appalled by that number, but then Here, drinking more than 4 cups of coffee a day linked with higher death risk. I'm like, oh, that's more reasonable. And then I realized, I'm like, hey, math dude, they're saying the same thing. So again, be careful. 11 reasons why you should drink coffee every day. Holy shit. Right? It's confounding until you look more deeply at all of these research articles and realize they're not all saying the same thing. They all involve either coffee or caffeine, but they sure as heck don't involve the same measure of coffee and or caffeine. Does that make sense? You guys buy that logic? Good, 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 good. All right, we'll stop there for a second because we're about on our break. We'll come back in and summarize all this in a moment and then get into some nitty gritty because I've been really skipping across the surface of these. Some of them are comical, some of them are serious, but let's come back after 5, get some air, get some water, please.